Hi everybody, this is Alison Dorrant coming to you from my studio in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I just spent the last half an hour cleaning up glass fragments from underneath the two art tables that I have pushed together and I'm working on. And for those of you that follow me, you'll know that my 9-foot glass studio doors had spontaneously combusted a number of months ago, and I moved everything into my living room space. I have a really great setup. I'm quite spoiled. It worked out okay. I was just getting ready to move back into the other studio, and it's just like the universe was reminding me that it would be a good time, reminding me not to cut corners. Basically, what I was doing is, in preparing for this video, I thought I would improve the lighting. The last time I did the video, my tables were turned away from my window, and I thought, well, it would be really ideal if I could push these two IKEA, they're sort of like kitchen tables that have wheels on one end and are stable on the other. So I've pushed them together and I've put this really big flat board to kind of bridge the two to give me like a full table, and I had covered it with an art tarp, with a tarp. And I thought I was gonna be smart, and instead of like taking everything off my table, because I do love to have everything handy, as you can just see here, I have a very full table. Well, that was not a good idea. I should have just taken the extra, 10 minutes and removed everything off of the table and then moved the table. But instead, I decided to, sorry, I'm having trouble with my phone here now that I've just the angle. I think that's better. But what happened was I was like, I'm just gonna maneuver the tables over while kind of like moving the tarp at the same time and moving what was on the table. And it was not a good idea. And I had this massive, beautiful glass decorative dish that had all of my collage papers in it. It was a gift for my husband and I for a wedding gift when we got married 10 years ago. And anyways, it fell off and everything in it, glass everywhere. So I am back to realizing I need to slow down and think through what I'm doing. And here you're looking at the recent fox painting that I have titled A Little Fox with a Big Tail. And that's sort of a play on words. I think I had told you that my little rescue dog, Oakley, who's he's a miniature poodle, he had a big tale to share, a story tale, not a tale. He had a big story to share, and he was just published in What Women Create magazine. And I actually have it in, you know what, I might just go grab it. Just one moment. And so I don't edit my videos, so thank you for those of you that have stuck with me through my unedited inspiration. This is What Women Create. I have shared this before, but it was so funny. I was so excited about Oakley having his feature in here. It's, I'll just bring it open to the page. There's Oakley. So I received the digital copy just over a month ago, and I just assumed it would come out in stores right at that same time when they released the digital copy. So I was sharing it with all my friends and family and with you all, and they had sent me a couple copies in the mail, which was great. I then went to find it in the store because I'd gifted a copy to my mother-in-law and a copy to my mom, and I didn't have a copy for myself, so I was like, well, I'm just gonna go pick it up at the store. Turns out that they don't actually stock them until about a month after they release the digital copy to people that have been published, or at least that's what I understand. So the copies of this magazine did not come into Canada, at least, to our Indigo stores. Indigo is a Canadian store here. It used to be called Chapters. So I am just so pleased because I happened to be at the store a couple evenings ago and I found the last copy. They probably only stock a couple at a time, but I'm totally digressing. I think I'm still like coming down from feeling like I might even have a little tiny fragment of glass in my finger, even though I used gloves to clean up. I just need to do a video with you all to center myself and come down from the stress of the glass and the fragments everywhere, etc. So back to this, oh yes, I know. So this is my little dog with a big tail, so a big story. I won't share, of course, like this entire article, but just wanted to show that Oakley is featured. And so he made it to the table of contents, which is pretty cool. This is such a beautiful magazine. So he's right here. So there's Oakley, and I've told him that he needs to stay in the other room right now just because of, I want to do just a bigger clean from my recent glass explosion. So here it shows a close-up of Oakley when I was embellishing one of my large prints, and it says, if it lights you up, do more of it. So that's sort of what Oakley's looking at there as I'm writing on the canvas. And so, yeah, just if you're not familiar with this gorgeous art magazine, it is really beautiful and features some incredible artists and creatives. And so I thought I would just share that with you. And that was how I got the title of this painting. So if you've been following me, you know that this is a painting I'm going to gift to my mom. Actually, for Mother's Day, I had to kind of push it out. I've been working on it for quite a while. So it is mostly acrylic inks and acrylic paint with a little bit of alcohol ink. And it's on watercolor paper that I have mounted, otherwise known as glued to wood panels. So you can see at the side here, I've actually painted some flowers on the edge. I love to do polka dots along the edge of my wood panels. And so if you look at the back of it, a little fox with a big tail. And so just a play on words with Oakley sharing his tail, his dog tail in the magazine. And then when I had first painted this fox, I was just reading the writing. When I first painted this fox, I thought the tail really stood out. It was really big. So that's how I got the title. And I'm probably going to write some words on here, maybe love you to the moon and back, or something to do with the moon. It's very symbolic in my relationship with both my mom and my dad, and my son actually. So just wanted to share this, that it's just about finished. You can see the beautiful reticulated, I think you can see that in the lighting, the beautiful reticulated texture in the paper there. And yeah, I had done some flowers. Those of you that follow my channel, you'll know that I was creating stamping in my work, and you can just see the subtleties of the stamping in that lower left corner. And it kind of makes it a little bit more, feels more authentic, because it's a mark that only I can make with that stamp that I had created. So I'll just see if I can find it there. So just to show you, I think it was this stamp. So there's the wooden stamp block. There's that piece of foam core. It's not super thick, double-sided foam core, but it worked really well. And you always want to work on a flat surface when you stamp your stamps. And so you can just see that acrylic stamp is right in here. Okay, what am I going to share today? I think I could share some works in progress. I've just been working on some different techniques actually. So let's see if you can see these. So again, these are wood panel. And this actually, is it upside down? it was a painting I ended up cutting up. So it was a large painting, and I cut it up, and now it's becoming like a diptych, you know, 2 paintings side by side, or I might make it a triptych. I forget what I did with the other part of the paper. It may have become a bookmark. This was a while ago. It takes me a long time to finish certain paintings, especially these ones that I mount on the wood panel. So again, this is the same, it's kind of the same idea, the cradled wood panel. I'm gonna do the edges with the polka dots, and this was just experimental. So just practicing with different collage papers, with different paints and pencil crayons, paint crayons, and you can just see some etching in here. A lot of different experimentation, a lot of different papers, and I'm just really trying to kind of pull these together now with details. So you can see here how this is where the paper was cut. You can just see some of those flowers, and how it would have been one unique full piece of paper. So I always have works in progress on the go, and this one I think I showed you all. Again, I have the reticulated stamping in here, and it's collage over top of watercolor. And I have an art collector that had reached out, and she gave me the brilliant idea. She thought that the sides would look really good if I did, instead of the bronze, a dark kind of a navy with polka dots like I was doing with some of my smaller paintings. And so I said, well, let's give it a go. And she's actually purchased this painting, and I'm really excited to get this off to her, ship it off to the US in the next few days. So this is called Overlapping Calm. And just wanted to share that. And I was working also, some of you have asked if I finished the card for my dad. I was taking this wonderful art course online through Lynsay Green Art, where she shows you how to do a journal, a fold-out journal. And I'm really not even close to finishing, but it's a lot of work. So it's birds and botanicals, and there are many pages to this journal. I found it's a hard course. There's a lot of detail. You can see I'm working on this chickadee. I still have to do so much detail with the birds and the just around this folded paper. The robin. We have robins actually nesting again in our backyard, which is great because of the snow and the cold weather. And this morning there was so many accidents on the road because of the freezing rain overnight. It was very treacherous, and it's really nice just to hear the robins outside as the snow is starting to kind of lighten up and melt. I had to actually do 2 fold-out journals at the same time because I like to work on multiples. Sometimes what I do on one painting, I like to compare how it looks when I'm working. If there's something I really liked, I would incorporate it into the second one as I'm working. It's kind of nice because if you have one color of paint, you can then transfer it to the other paper. It does just take time. So you can just see how the pages are a little bit different. I decided to do a little pink butterfly coming out here. And again, this is far from finished, but you can just see the process of carving out those images with acrylic paint, getting those beautiful blues and turquoise tones in the background. I like to do a lot of etching in my work. So when you look close, you can see the etching that I had done in the almost dried acrylic paint, as well as my signature down there. So this, I'm hoping this is going to be a Mother's Day and Father's Day gift, hopefully. It just, again, good art takes time. So I just thought I'd share with you those. And as I mentioned in my, oh, actually this is another one I had done. So I actually started multiple journal layouts through Lynsay's class. These are images that I was just working on myself, little fox images. They almost look like dogs at this point. and just more robins, and the music notes I've incorporated, the collage papers. So again, just a long ways to go, but fun experimentation. And where are we going to go today? I'm not sure. There's a few things that I want to do at some point. I don't know if it's going to be today. I do want to share a full swatch video on my new set of paints from the Stone Ground Paint Co. to my right here on my table. I splurged and I decided to get an almost complete set. There was just a couple colors that have cobalt, which I'm allergic to, so I think there was just a couple cobalt blues or cerulean blues with the cobalt in them that I avoided. And what I decided to do, I really enjoy working on toned paper. So this is a sketchbook. It's called a toned watercolor book. It was about $34 Canadian, and it's 200 grams, 60 pages. It's an A5, which is approximately 5.8 by 8.3 inches. And for those of you that like centimeters, about 14.8 by 21 centimeters. And it's at hannahmuley.com. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But it's sort of like a sketchbook, but you can do watercolor. It's a watercolor sketchbook, and it's great for kind of what they call urban sketchers, or people that want to travel with a sketchbook and do painting, watercolor, drawing, you know, in a compact book. But I just decided I wanted to swatch out my Stone Ground Paint Co., a Saskatchewan company, all of their watercolors. So there's just some really stunning colors in here, and there's certain ones that look awesome on the toned paper. So this is their metallic, you know, they've got that gorgeous metallic set. And so these ones here are mostly metallics. And I thought, instead of writing so small in here, I printed out the words of the names of the paint colors, and I'm just going to take some time at some point cutting each one and gluing it kind of right beside. So there are a lot of colors. There's, I think, at least 100 in their full set. And then here is their line of gouache. So gouache sounds kind of like squash, but it's gouache with a G. And it's a combination, it's like an opaque watercolor. If you merge acrylic paint with watercolor, you get more of an opaque look. So it's quite beautiful, and just gives a different look to what you're doing. So I just thought I would share that with you. And what I had done, I have another book that I've been working out of that's the same, it's the same book. Oh, actually, wow. So I paid a lot more for this at another art store. This was almost $49 Canadian at the other art store. I won't name names, but local art stores. I like to support local. But anyways, lots of neons in here. This was just a little mountain scene I had done in the winter a couple years ago, playing around with these. Actually are Stabilo Woodies. So I've been using these a lot in my videos lately. They're really beautiful. So you can just see, this is a slightly brighter, almost cerulean blue compared to this one here. But you can use them as like activating them with water, or just if you like that creamy look and you're okay that, you know, it could be activated again if you went over top with water. That just is another variation of a mixed media supply. And this is the white. Actually, oh, I do have the white. I thought the white looked quite interesting on the toned paper. So you have to push down fairly firmly and go over it a few times, but the white also looks great on dark, like black toned paper, say Strathmore black toned paper. And of course, doing like little white marks. Actually, that's very, very light. These are great if you're, like, I love to use these with my son who's a preschooler. They're just fun. They're great for dexterity. They're just chunky and they are so beautiful. So I could actually show you what these are like on regular watercolor paper. So we'll come back to, oh, I know what I was gonna share. Before I go to the Stabilo Woodies, I just decided to use my palette, my swatch of the Stone Ground Paint Co., all the colors that I loved. And I think I showed this in a video quite recently. I had pulled out some palette cards and just decided that, hey, this is a palette that's really speaking to me this spring, and I'm gonna pull this into some of my acrylic paintings and you know, probably my watercolor paintings. So I don't know how long this palette's gonna last in my head as a creative, how much work I'm gonna produce from this palette, but I just thought it was really pretty. And this one as well, gorgeous, gorgeous colors. So this is all, again, on the brown toned paper from this Urban Sketchers book. There's also gray toned paper, but I really prefer this one with the way I like the paint colors and with what I'm doing. So again, a toned watercolor book. It doesn't actually say brown. It's acid free. But it's a nice size, and it's fun just to play around with, you know, whether it's these Stabilo Woodies. So what we could do is you just do a little swatch with the Stabilo Woodies. And so I'll do one on the toned paper just for fun. And so again, I could start with white. And then we can go to the brown. And you may just love the texture you get without activating these with water. But we can do that as well too. This color is so, so stunning. It just makes me think of this book that I have shared in my last couple videos, Petal by Adriana Picker. And this Stabilo Woody is, I think it's number 370. It's a beautiful fuchsia. And then we've got this beautiful pink. And so these again are numbered. This is number 334. I'm not going to number them. I can number them in the description. Might do that. This is a beautiful peach, and that's number 301. And we have a red, an orangish red, kind of like a vermilion, if I'm thinking of the correct color, and that's number 310. You can get the two-toned Stabilo Woodies, which are quite neat. I had bought this with my son in mind, and I can just show you in my little art journal that you can kind of go green and then roll your hand and make it into a different color. So kind of rolling it with whatever color you decide, or blending them to get the brown, because the red and green are complementary colors. So when mixed, they will make more of a brown. So those are the two-toned ones. I just had one straggler in here, but you can just see if you're going to blend them, you get that really interesting neutral. And you can just see, so when it's blended, you get that brown, and I'll just clean my brush. And then with the red, you can just see how beautiful the color is. And then when you hit the green, it's really, really vibrant. So that's just a little demo of the number 310 plus 533. It's called a duo, so a 3-in-1, because you've got the red, the green, and then mixed, of course, you can get that neutral grayish brown. It's just kind of a fun thing to play with. And then yellow, this is such a beautiful sunshiny yellow. This is number 205. You can also get a pastel set. I really like the pastels. Number 201, and that light yellow. This is like a beautiful apple green, number 570. And I just bought these at our local art store here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So it's called Kensington Art Supply. You can probably find these at Michael's, other craft stores. There's a lot more for stores, of course, outside of Canada. If you're in a different country, especially the US, Australia, probably more options. Sorry, did I say this is such a pretty color? Number 402. This turquoise again, I love number 470, that darker turquoise. And then we have number 450. And my son and I use these all the time, like weekly for sure. And they come with a really neat, thick pencil sharpener. I'm just gonna see if that ended up on the floor or where is it? I can get it. So I like to keep an old jar for the shavings. And this is the Stabilo pencil sharpener. You can see how chunky it is. So this one does not need to be sharpened, but I could sharpen. This one doesn't really either. I just sharpen these, but it's quite nice. They sharpen up really well. And I really like to use them when they're a bit more dull, just to get more of a thick painterly line. So back to this blue, 450. And then we will do 425, which is a slightly brighter blue. And I'm just gonna see if I can bring you guys in. We will see if I can get some more lighting here. This one, 405. Not sure if it looks like I have the whole set, but again, some of these might be spread out around the house. This pink, 302, was it the same as this one? Nope, different. This pink up here was 334, so this one is 302. It's from the pastel set, I believe. Love this orange, number 220. And 425, that is the same as that one I had just done. Number 385. Beautiful purple. We've got gold. And that is number 810. You can just see they all, because of their waxy consistency before they're activated, that's a really neat texture. So it's kind of a fun texture to have in your work. I'll see if I can find an example of that. So we've done white, and then there's silver, which is number 805. We did that brown, we've done the black, and then last but not least, we have 355, which is a fleshy peach tone. So I'm just gonna pop those back in. And if you decide you want to activate them with water, just experiment. It's kind of fun. So this would be a favorite color for sure. This one would be a favorite color. You can see you can kind of blend them as well without activating them. That would make a really beautiful color mix. And then say, do orange, and maybe what I could do is do gorgeous purple, and then add a bit of a yellow, the brighter yellow. Where's that sunshine yellow? Just as an example. So when I activate it with water with my number 12 Princeton round paintbrush, you can just see, starting with the lighter color, going into the purple, you can just see it. Because purple and yellow are complementary colors, so you can create a little bit of a neutral when you mix them. And then you can just see how beautiful they are when they're activated. And if they're on white paper, some of them will be even more vibrant. Of course, mixing these two would give you a different color. And so that's just a little demonstration of the Stabilo Woody. So if I didn't show you before, Stabilo is S-T-A-B-I-L-O. Stabilo. Hopefully I'm feeling more stable after my glass incident. And then they're called Woodies, so wood with a Y on the end. And they do, I have to read again, they do donate they help work towards a sustainable rainforest. I forget, sustainable wood, I don't know exactly what that means. I'd have to read the box again, but I was impressed. I thought, well, that's great. It's hopefully they're doing what they say they're doing. And yeah, I just love working with them. So I'm gonna let that dry. And we can do, I think what I want to do is choose a couple cards, color cards. So I'm gonna start with my color cube. So this is, again, volume 2 I've been working out of on my recent videos by Sarah Renee Clark. And I'm just gonna randomly grab whatever's coming out. This is a very beautiful choice. So card number 396, and I'll bring you back in again. And I'm gonna just bring you down a little bit on my tripod. And these are not colors that I would likely combine in a painting unless there was a lot of other colors in the mix. I do love pinks. I have come to love this burgundy just with my recent color palette that I had come up with over the winter. I had done a video where I had combined a dark green and a brighter red acrylic ink to make this kind of a burgundy color. So let's just go through the names. So I thought we could just grab some mixed media supplies, maybe do like an art poetry painting. So by like a background, what I mean by that is, here's an example of one that I had done a while ago. You can't see it all, but I'll zoom out in a little bit when we get back to it. But just getting down colors with different supplies that are inspiring us through this palette. So the dark burgundy, French rose, hot pink, light pink, and emerald. And there's just a really lovely, looks like daisies. I'm not sure what flowers those are. Really, really beautiful, dainty, kind of, you know, it's neat, the perspective where it's almost blurry close up, and then further back you can just see all the details. So let's just see what we can come up with. I think what I'm gonna do is, just off the top of my head, I like to do what's easiest on video because I'm just gonna give myself a break today after spending so much time cleaning up all that glass. So I'm gonna take this little book that I had created just to do different palettes with you all and just use a page in this book. To just kind of test out. This is one from a little while ago. What I might do is just tear this, no, actually I'm not gonna tear it off. I'll keep it in here. And so I love to use water-soluble pencil crayons, Neocolor Caran d'Ache crayons, acrylic paint pens, regular pens, crayons. I just love different mixed media supplies. So how do I want to achieve this today? I feel like the hardest color to achieve would be the burgundy. So that's something I'm not super, I'm not well versed in mixing colors. I'm just gonna look back at my Stone Ground Paint Co. Just see if there's a burgundy in here. I definitely could mix it. Just not seeing anything that looks too much like something that I would have to mix up. So I'm just gonna put this aside. Just see. I wonder if this is, no, I think this archival ink, no, that's not the right burgundy. I think I can find a water-soluble pencil crayon or an acrylic paint in the burgundy, or let me just see. Okay, I'm just looking through some of my water-soluble pencil crayons, and I'm finding some different ones that will go with that palette. Still looking for the burgundy. Let me just see. Maybe kind of like this dark carmine. Okay. Cherry magenta. Okay, I'm still here, still just looking. I think what I'm gonna do, it's gonna be challenging. I do want to have this burgundy, because it's one of the darker colors, the darker hues. I do want it to be I want it to stand out in the color palette that we're going to do for the painting. And of course I want the light to stand out, but primarily these darks, I almost want more of them just with the style that I paint. So just gonna see. I love this set of pencil crayons. So if you have water-soluble pencil crayons, that's great. Just try and get closest to these colors. Because I'm doing videos with you all, I like to get super close for those of you that have you know, maybe more supplies, sort of like I do. And, you know, but if you just use what you have. If you have a dark kind of Christmassy green, if you have different shades of pinks, and then this dark burgundy, you can even use like a darker fuchsia or magenta. It's almost like a magenta, maybe with a darker color in it. So this dark green, number 229, is great by Supercolor Soft. And then we have, this one's more of a peachy color, but that's okay for sort of the purpose of what we're doing. And sorry, that was called Salmon Pink, number 071. If you happen to have this same pencil crayon set, this was from, again, Kensington Art Supply a couple years ago. This is Rose Pink, number 082, which is quite a nice complement there. Oops, wait, yeah, up here. Another pink. This is interesting. No, this is the one. It's called Indian Red 075. I feel like it would be okay with a bit of a dark brown in it to make our burgundy. Let's just flip over to see if we can come, yeah, it's more of a dark brown, isn't it? Or at least my lighting, might be my lighting. I ran into this issue with finding a dark teal color the other day. But anyway, it's fun, right? Just to experiment. The one, I feel like I have matched the emerald really nicely. I like the different shades. The light pink, I feel like I could find probably a better light pink. So I'm just gonna keep this one out. And I'm gonna use, let's just gonna go back again. I'm gonna cover that up. So I'm gonna do this dark green for sure. And then I'm gonna get a different light pink because that one's just not quite the right shade for me. Let's just put this one out and maybe that one out. Okay, so I'm looking at my gelatos now for the pinks, and let's have you ever heard of when you have too many supplies, too many clothes in your closet, the choices, it's like the paradox of choice. It gets very overwhelming and then you can't choose anything. So I'm going to give myself just another couple minutes. I'm going to find the right pink in my gelatos. And then I'm going to see. So we have that green. I almost feel like this is a water-soluble crayon. It's called a gelato by Faber-Castell. I feel like that's pretty close. So I'm just going to keep that in the mix. And I'm going to keep, no, that was the one that it was a bit too brown. Definitely going to keep this one in for my French rose. So the rose pink, number 082. And then let's just see, watermelon. The gelato, oh, that one's actually it's almost like slightly brighter French rose, so we'll put that up there. And then this one, oh, that's the same one. So we'll use definitely that green, this for our light pink. We can find a different hot pink, this for our French rose, and then the dark burgundy. It'd be really nice if I could maybe look up in my color recipes how to make that. I'm just thinking I'm gonna do, and again, the hot pink, I can do better to find a hot pink. If you think outside the box, I mean, you could even use highlighters, right? I'm not gonna do that for this exercise. That one's actually, no, too purple. Ah, oh, that's it. Okay. Pink, rose pink, 081. We'll use that one for sure, because it looks so much like that. And now we're just left with looking for the burgundy. I feel like I'm confusing myself here, so I'm gonna start with, okay, so we've got the emerald green, dark green 229. I'm gonna use that for emerald, and then for my light pink, I'm gonna use strawberry gelato in pastel. For my hot pink, I'm gonna use rose pink 081 in the Super Color Soft. All of my pencil crayons that I'm showing you here are by Caran d'Ache, the Swiss company, and they're water-soluble Super Color Soft 2 pencil crayons. But again, just use what you have. Get as close as you can. I like to get, again, super close because I'm the one doing the videos. So for those of you with more experience or who have more supplies, you might just enjoy it a bit more. There's rose pink 082 for my French rose, and then the dark burgundy. Do I want to use, yeah, and I am going to use the watermelon for the French rose as well. Okay, we'll use those ones. And I'm just going to grab, I think I have a color mixing recipe book. I'm just gonna see color mixing recipes for oil and acrylic, but I'm sure it will work with watercolor. And so if we're looking for a dark burgundy, I don't use this very much at all. Burgundy. It's gotta be in here. 213. Okay. I'm just gonna check the time for a second. Okay. So 213. Okay, I think it's white plus alizarin crimson. If I looked that up correctly, I really should have studied this before I pulled it out, but that's okay. This is just kind of fun. So yeah, 213. Yeah, okay, alizarin crimson and white. Let me look. Do I have alizarin crimson in my watercolors? I feel like it's like this one here. Which is India red. And I feel like I could mix that with maybe India red with a magenta or something. Or, oh wait, my almost think this Mayan red might be good mixed in with a little bit of a darker color. Ah, yes, with a darker brown. So we're going to use Mayan red with Armenian purple ochre. This one here. I don't know about this. I don't know. Just don't know. Oh, 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 that's looking good. Awesome. Yes, that's good. And I can always darken it up. Okay, so great. So I'm going to use Stone Ground Paint Co. Armenian purple ochre mixed with Mayan red. This one here. It's so hard to tell when they're actually not on paper, activated by water. And what I want to do is just sort of play with the supplies and see if we can pull together a painting. I might just mix up in my tray here. I might just mix up. There's a little bit of a spot in my porcelain tray. I think it's called a porcelain tray. So we'll put, and I don't care if there's other colors kind of mixed in, we'll just see how we do. And so the Mayan red, and then a lot of this Armenian purple ochre. And the next time you go to make colors and you're just sort of craving certain colors, you will probably remember having mixed them. So I know that just this exercise, this process, especially being on video with you all, I will remember it. I'm just gonna see if I have a black, or this one is, yeah, this one's black, Mars Black, which is, I just wanna darken it up a bit more. So this is Mars Black by Beam Paints, which is sort of like kind of a muted black. And I could have used brown, but I feel like that's really quite good. And I might add just a hint more pigment, so the Mayan red and the Armenian. I'm very happy with that for the burgundy. And I want a fair bit of it because I'm going to use the watercolor as sort of the base. So let's just do a little art poetry painting. So I'm going to work on my Canson. I'm going to work out of my journal here. And this is my Canson mixed media coil bound book, just from Michaels Canada, 9 by 12 inches, 138 pounds. And we're just gonna just put some of that burgundy on here. Just gonna use a fair bit of it because it's all kind of mixed up. And I'm just gonna put a little bit up here just because my composition, I'm gonna probably make it a little bit more to the right. And I love drips, it wants to drip down. So I'm just thinking of this like a cradled cloud almost. And it's gonna drip down nicely. It's always harder when it's in a book. But there you have a bit of a drip. And then I like to drop in a bit more pigment in the middle. I could even get even closer here to the dark burgundy by just playing around I'm just gonna drop in a little bit of the Mayan red, drop in a bit more, and then I'm gonna go to the Armenian, just straight pigment, just to darken up that center part. And you don't wanna play around too much once the watercolor is down and doing its job, working its magic. But you do wanna work while it's still wet. So I have what I think of as like a garden in the sky, an abstract tree, the beautiful base stem, it's grounding us, whatever you want to think of that. And I'm going to go in and probably use I like the French rose, which was the watermelon of the gelato. And what you can do is, just going to get my paper towel. don't seem to have my paper towel handy. Oh, here we go. Oops, it bothers me that this is over here. Okay, so this color in here actually looks a lot like watermelon. And I'm gonna add more of the watermelon, or otherwise known as the French rose, in my gelato by just grabbing some of the watercolor, the color off and putting it into my palette. And it's a bit hard to get the pigments, so another thing I could do is just be bold, because this is probably a bit too light. Just because, well, I kind of want to work while this is still wet. So I'm just going to add in a bit of that French rose, but again, it's not dark enough. So what I might do, I might just kind of scrub it on like this. And I scrubbed pretty hard, probably too hard, because I don't love the texture. I want it to look more smooth, so it just depends on the quality of that gelato. It's actually not too bad. Gelatos are fun when you're art journaling, so it's just getting that color down. So we have the dark burgundy kind of grounding us. We have the French rose. We have that texture in there, which is interesting. I kind of want to go back and drop in a little bit more of that Armenian color again while it's still wet. A little bit more of the Mayan red. And just deciding when I want to add in the different pinks. I might just use my green emerald pencil crayon in here to do some line work. So I'm gonna just pull down and make some of these dripping lines. And I can add more in another area if I want. Maybe I'll add a little bit more on this side. And also over here. And because it's water soluble, I'm kind of going right into it. And then as far as colors, let's just get this strawberry color for our light pink. And maybe I'll put, again, I'm not used to working with gelatos in this way, kind of wet on wet. Whoops. And so I'm just gonna scrub it on. And if this was fully dry, you can go back with one of these art sponges and use the gelatos that way. So I'll kind of see if I can show you what I mean. And you can kind of get a really nice, kind of dreamy effect. And of course I'm hitting some of the white areas, or sorry, some of the wet areas, but it's just a little example. And what I might do is grab my rose pink pencil crayon, and I'm just trying to decide what, so the part of me that's like, just relax and enjoy the process, that's fine. But the part of me that's like, let's pull this together and make it pretty, which a lot of us want, that part I'm finding a little bit challenging in what's going on here. So it might be easier to pull it together when it's dry. And I'm just deciding how I want to kind of pull it together. I suppose I could do maybe more kind of mark making in here, this time going, how do you say, like kind of loose, going off the page maybe. And looking at what I'm enjoying, I feel like I want to add in more of the emerald green, but more in a watercolor. So let's look at what we have for that. Would be boreal. Would that be the right color? I'm just gonna see. No, rainforest. That has a bit of a shimmer, but actually it's a really, really nice. This is Beam Paints. Oh, it's actually too, I feel like that's a bit brighter than I want. Let's just see if I can find boreal and, oh, pine. So pine is a really nice emerald. Just as an example, on our little sheet. Oh, actually, you know what? It's way lighter than I thought. Okay, no, I'm not gonna do that unless I mix it with the green. I'm gonna go back to boreal. I think boreal is the closest we're gonna get to emerald today. And we can always put something over top to make it look more like emerald if we want after this is dry. And I'm just gonna be bold and maybe add in some of that over here. And maybe a little bit down here over top of the pencil crayon. And look at that. When we went over top of that pencil crayon, it became more of an emerald. So that's good. Maybe I'll just do the whole thing here to get that beautiful emerald. And I'm going to grab, I'd love to have a dark burgundy pencil crayon. I have, this one's probably the closest, this dark carmine, and I'm just gonna do, just trying to decide. I kind of want to do something right here. So maybe like a really loose, almost like those daisies that we saw. Just a really, really loose kind of sketch or illustration, kind of getting in that line work, kind of messy. And just so there's a bit more interest in this area, and I feel like that does come out as a dark burgundy. Just gonna kind of scribble in the middle there. And what we can do is activate the sides of the flower to kind of thicken up the area of watercolor here. So just activating it, it's almost like that's becoming actually like a hot pink and a French rose combined, a little bit more of a bright magenta, not quite the color palette that we were going for. So if I'm gonna be particular, I can kind of take that out just to stay true to the palette. And I think I'm pretty happy with just that experimentation, that play, just being really loose and kind of figuring out how can you make this palette, what supplies do you have on hand, and even working on several paintings at a time with those supplies and in different ways, you know, maybe mark making in like a full composition versus this art poetry style that I do. So many possibilities. And when this dries, you can go over top with neutrals, felt pens, permanent pens, just wait for it to be totally dry. You can also go back in over top and really scrub on those gelatos, these Faber-Castell gelatos, so areas that are quite dry. And so again, what we could do is, say I'm just gonna scrub it all around here. And I know it's gonna leave some textured marks, which I don't really love, but that's okay because it's just play, it's experimentation. So you can either wet it to get some color down, or I'll just show you as an example. Or again, you can kind of blend it like this. I think I like the blended look a lot better. So it's just figuring out what you enjoy, what you don't like. Marks that you enjoyed, you might want to repeat. So I did really enjoy the green and how that kind of played out. So I might just, you know, repeat it in an area over here. And just kind of deciding, do I want to add in any more mark making with the green? I think that's probably it. If you have like lighter emerald tones, darker ones, you can add those in. You know, there's just so many possibilities. So we have these 5 colors, but then within each color you have the lighter version, the darker version, and the more true version. So I think we'll probably I'm gonna leave the video here. I've been on for a while, and I'm gonna just do another really big vacuum and big clean. So what I could do is just end with an art poetry card, just sort of an intention, one of my art poetry cards. I'm just gonna randomly pick one. And this is, just looking at the color palette, this is a very different palette. Know that you are never alone, although sometimes it may feel like it. And yeah, so I'll leave you with that, and hope you felt like you were in good company during this video. I really appreciate this community and all the comments and feedback and tips I get. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I wish you a great day or night.